Hi, everybody. This is day 1,447 days since Richard was premeditatedly murdered. Can't say the words. That's internal code red, murdered on Fort Bliss. And the evidence, it continues to mount. We've had enough for a while. We've had enough, and we had so much, and we have been um, giving it to authorities, all kinds of authorities, right? Um, and just getting that evidence out there. And so the Board of Inquiry for the United States government, for the United States Army, um, we provided just part of what we had to them, and they uh, that it was overwhelming. It was um, absolutely. They looked at the evidence and they declared Richard deceased. Um, you know, we know from all what we gave them that that declaration was a declaration of murder. There's no other possibility. We're not happy about that. This is the thing that people don't understand. We're a military family. We're a patriotic family, and for for such a determination um, to be pointed to over and over and over again with, like I said, mounting evidence does not make us happy. We have always been Go Army. We have always been very, very pro Fort Bliss, and of course, White Sands. I was born at White Sands. We have a lot of great memories in El Paso, and so it's all it's all very, very heartbreaking to think about Richard being a whistleblower, Richard what he was whistleblowing about, because it was big, y'all. It was, and it was criminal trafficking, and that his murder case is connected to the Walmart mass shooting that was orchestrated. This is gut wrenching. This is not something that we celebrate, that we hope for, that we prayed for. We prayed against it. And I have myself on, when we got there to El Paso, um, with the media, admitting that we were hoping that what we knew was true was not the case. And we have not been quick to make all of these criminal reports and allegations and all of that. We have slowly um, investigated, continuously investigated, uh, double checked, triple checked all the information that we were given, um, looking at the irregularities, looking at all the responses, looking at why the opposition is always um, incognito, using fake sites, um, not willing to speak with us, why they, don't want to share their name. Why don't they want to get on a Zoom? Why doesn't Bob Moore want to get on a Zoom and do an interview with us, right? Why doesn't he want to do that, Mr. El Paso Matters? fake newsman that, you know, doesn't respond to our, well, no less than 15 attempts to warn him, to provide information to him, to contact him, and no response. I mean, that is a disgraceful journalist. That is a disgust to journalism. And now he's been discredited because he took our son's picture without asking. He didn't even reach out to us after all of those attempts. That's not a journalist. He doesn't want to go on a Zoom. You know how many Zooms we've done? And it's going to be more. And but and then using Lalani Hart, Miss, fake profile person herself. I mean, always making fake profiles. She just admitted even on TikTok um, that she that she's up there harassing and admits it's her, right? So it's really not even Vanessa Guillen's case, and this is absolutely parallels Vanessa Guillen's it's a whistleblower that is brutally murdered, that is dismembered, that, Richard's body is missing. It just doesn't get up and walk off Fort Bliss without, a dead body can't do that. And so today, and why does Bob Moore, who is discredited, who is a disgrace, um, who is a disgust, who is under investigation at the state level, at the federal level, right? Why isn't why is he rubbing shoulders with fake accounts? Right? Why isn't he talking about, hey, Lalani, why don't you come out and we'll have a conference, a news conference with the Hallidays and the Harts and put this out on the table. Why do you have to? I don't hide behind a fake account. Why does Lalani Hart hide behind fake accounts? Why don't they talk about the notarized affidavit? Why don't they talk about that and ask her about that? Hey, why did you get that affidavit, that confession that, there's incest in your family and the sexual assault of a 7-year-old? And why are you putting these sex cult grooming stuff on your fake sites? Disgusting stuff. You know, uh, what's going on with your immigration, right? Um, what's going on with your family purchasing weapons illegally? What's going on with the child pornography in your home? Um, and the FBI accepting this affidavit and communications between you and your husband, your ex-husband, recently ex-husband, um, corroborating this kind of vile and vulgar and illegal, illicit behavior. Illegal, illicit behavior. And, you know, The justice system is a beautiful thing. And of course, man can tamper with it. But you know that Lady Justice, she took her rightful place in El Paso. She took her rightful place in El Paso. And Lady Justice, she might be slow, but she's in her rightful place. And I was thinking about that today. We had a very difficult day, a very difficult day, a heart wrenching, gut wrenching, absolutely difficult day, meeting with our casualty affairs officer, um, and talking about Richard's remains, um, having to talk about that we would even accept his partial remains returned to us. I mean, how gut wrenching and heart wrenching is that, right? Um, yeah, lots of fake accounts. And so, you know, I don't think I've ever heard of a case, Danielle, maybe you can attest to this also, where 4 years, I mean, day in and day out, you have fake accounts, fake pages, um, just attacks and misinformation. And we have just been uh, as transparent as we possibly can be. At the beginning of this, we were putting everything out, but um, when the information coming in became so sensitive, um, you have to protect some of these people. You just you've got to protect security, especially when you're being harassed and targeted continuously by who? The rogue group. Where does this rogue group come from? Bob Moore's rogue group. Well, they're part of the original response team in Richard's case. Part of the original response team in Richard's case. And you're going to find out more about how crazy this is, that you have the very people that are supposed to be looking and caring for Richard. You have a breakaway group that is criminal, absolutely criminal, and even call themselves the prime suspects, right? Even admit that they're the prime suspects. And that's why they have to hide behind these fake accounts, these fake pages, um, which violate these social media platforms, including Facebook, including TikTok. And so that's why those pages have been taken down. And, we'll keep reporting them. And please, El Pasoans and Team Find Richard Halliday, all of you out there, please report these fake accounts. You can, when you have these uh, really weird posts that say, like, oh, you have no proof. Are you kidding me? We've we have mountains of evidence, and the declaration of death is corroborates that we have mountains of evidence. And so there's some defamation going on again with that. And how, it's so terrible that there's defamation when we're meeting with our casualty assistance officer, um, discussing would we be willing to accept partial remains, you know, um, and then we get defamation going on. We received also um, three more gold star pens because our other children requested those and they were granted um, those gold star pens. So we already had received our two, Rob and I, gold star pens. Um, and you know, it's hard for people to understand. It's not for honor. It's not for. Uh, it's to honor Richard, but this has been so devastating for everyone that loves Richard the most. Right, our whole family, the whole um, all of our friends, all of our extended family, all his friends from karate and piano and from the even the Irish School of Music and um, y- you know the Korean language school, all the people that have been my goddaughter, who I really need to get in touch with, um, but also Richard's godson. You know, he's going to be 8 years old. Um, it is so devastating. So today was a tough day, y'all. Today was a tough day to get those stars again, to speak with um, a man in uniform. You know, the uniform, our casualty affairs officer, um, the uniform is who you're speaking to, right? It's not the man in the uniform. And so while you're communicating with the Army, you know, um, it's not with that individual. You're communicating with the Army, with our country. And, it is just so emotional for us anyway, because we understand what the uniform represents. It represents our country. And for these rogue, for SFC, like Nick Brownbell, um, for the generals, for Ruggiero and Paulin and Command Sergeant Major Jakovitz and Captain Park and Lieutenant Colonel Roddick, and there's more. There's so many. To have betrayed the uniform, to contaminate, contaminate the uniform. That their actions have contaminated our country. And it is just nothing that you'd be happy about. Um, no, absolutely not. So let me read here what Danielle, Danielle. Good evening. Thank you so much. Thank you for your prayers. Thank you for that gold star and the heart and the red balloon. Richard's favorite color, red. Well, I don't know if his favorite color, he might have changed it, but, having four children, Um, I kind of always picked a certain color that they liked, and it happened to, okay, this is your toothbrush. You get the red toothbrush, you get the red cup, you get the red bag, you get the red, and then I knew that that was Richard's, right? Um, Allison was green, Hannah was pink, and Robert was blue. And so I knew who left what where because, with the colors. So that was um, who needed something new, whatever. It was just easy. So his color was always red. Uh, Richard Halliday, the family deserves justice. All soldiers and individuals that have been harmed deserve justice. Absolutely. And that was one of the very first things that was so stinky in all of this is in the middle of Vanessa Guillen, okay? This is July, right? July, August. I mean, it was total chaos at the Pentagon and in the Department of Defense because of finding Vanessa Guillen's remains. And they didn't find it. These animals did, and so the line workers went and checked it, and her remains were found. It wasn't because the CID found her remains. They called off Texas EquiSearch. They did not, when they found that Pelican case, they did not up their game. They did not call in the reinforcements. They did not call on every soldier on Fort Hood who was available to lock arms together and find Vanessa Guillen. That's not what happened. And so when her remains were found the way they were found, all hell broke loose. People lost jobs finally. In order for people in the DOD to lose their jobs, it was serious, y'all. It was serious. And um, in the midst of all of that, Richard is murdered. They knew he was murdered. We know that they know he was murdered. And they chose to cover it up because they did not want to have another Vanessa Guillen situation. And for the leaders there to sit in front of us in a VTC and tell us that Nidal B'Aim is just some guy, just some crazy guy, and for the Army not to come clean and to make us go through this for a year, almost 4 years now. It is, it is no wonder that Bob Moore is discredited, is a disgrace, is a disgust, because he is participating in this disgrace and this disgust. There are so many things he could be reporting on, asking questions, but he is using a convicted criminal. He's using Rosa Maria Valdez Garcia. He, he is acting. He's a disgrace to journalism. And it's a very big deal in El Paso. El Paso Matters is a very big deal. And you see, it's about contracts, it's about money, it's about the criminal trafficking. fake accounts, fake sites, inserting themselves to interfere with an investigation into Richard Halliday's murder. Why? What is their investment, involvement? In my opinion, it's Richard Halliday's first CONUS Death One Army soldier. Yeah. And because it's connected to the Walmart mass shooting, and it's more. We have so much more. But because we're not at liberty, because for security, it's so sensitive. The information, the more info, you know, that's why I say we have enough. What we have publicly put out there is enough to arrest the perpetrators and hold them accountable. But there's even more, y'all. And you know, it's like, what is that saying? They shoot themselves in the foot to, or cut off their nose to despite their face, or I don't know. There's a saying. It's it's a real mess. It's a real mess. Leadership like Richard Halliday needs to be held accountable to the highest level of justice. Absolutely. They have absolutely contaminated our military installation, our uniforms, the oaths that they took, their creeds. They've contaminated El Paso. They give you his remains, get a private DNA test. Absolutely. 4 years of evil and torture. Yes. Some evidence needs to be protected. Yes, it does. Um, because, you know, you're talking about criminal trafficking. And, you know, it is, yeah. You know, we were talking about Forrest Gump today, the movie Forrest Gump and Les Miserables, and the females in there that had been exploited when they were, well, one in Forrest Gump, she was exploited. You know, she threw, there was not enough rocks, right? There was just not enough stones. There was not enough rocks to throw at that house, right? Because there was so much evil memory, so much evil that had gone on in that house, and there was just not enough rocks. And, you know, and she had it tough. And we were talking about, you know, how this needs to be absolutely stopped because so many people, you know, it just keeps going, and you have these children being raised in this, and then they turn into adults and they're just callous, absolutely callous, and then there's so many connections. And so, yes, there is a lot of protection that needs to go on here. And then, of course, in Les Miserables, where, you know, she's just so mistreated and she has to resort to terrible things. You know, and if you don't have grace, some mercy in that, but that's why we came into it with, you know, this is the, it's already water under the bridge, right? 4 years of not being able to see the opportunity to grab onto the grace. I don't know if that makes sense. And we it's just not, they just don't, they just want the ability to do evil and to contaminate and to hurt hurt people and destroy lives, and they want that ability. The whole immunity thing is water under the bridge. It's water under the bridge. And for the prime suspects, okay? For the prime suspects. Um, we have people coming forward now, and I hope this makes sense. But we have got to stop at least do whatever we can, because we don't want any other family to have to go through this. This was such a heart wrenching, you think 4 years in, and the same as today as what I told Sammy. Uh, it's probably been years ago, right? Um, Because, yeah, he says, well, I know you cry sometimes. I said, Sammy, the tears never, it's a daily thing. It's a daily thing. Think about what they have done, not to Richard, to our family, to the unit. The unit. It's they are the let me tell you, Ruggiero and Brown and Park and Pollen, they are so callous. I can't even imagine serving under them. They are, wow, their hearts are stone. Think about what this has done to Fort Bliss, to, well, to the CID, to, of course, Thomas Kane. He wrote that letter. He is not innocent in this at all, and his heart is wrenching, and his gut is wrenching. So this has to we have to move forward, and um, that's what we told our CAO today. We are willing to move forward. And so we have breaking news today. God gave us some good news on top of this very difficult day. And I almost forgot to mention it. And it's like, no, mention the good news. Talk about the good news. So yesterday we got confirmation that a national organization was moving forward. That on a national level, um, there is an advancing in the, absolutely, that will absolutely help our son's case, our case. This is El Paso's case. This is the American case right now, right? For our military, for our borderland, um, and so that was really good news that they um, said that they were advancing. And today we have confirmation that they are preparing a lawsuit um, that will really, really help our son's case. So would really support it. And so two communications, one right after the other day, so they are reaching out to us, and we absolutely have investigations going on a state level and a federal level. Um, of course, we reached out to all the law schools that we could possibly find an email for. So they absolutely know what's going on. And so we have been just adding to our support base, our national support base, the local support base, and and we're going to continue to do that. Um, and so that's why we are getting results. And I just pray that this lawsuit happens, and that is, well, they wouldn't reach out to us and let us know unless they were serious, right? I don't know. Um, but this is absolutely moving forward, and so I'm really, I wanted to share that good news. Um, yeah, we're prepared to move forward with all of that, and we were asked today in a comment about the wrongful death suit. Um, that's yeah. Um, pray for that. Pray for that. So we have enough and more. And yeah, the questions I think that the public need to make is, what in the world is Bob Moore of El Paso Matters doing, disgracing his journalistic duties for El Paso, for Fort Bliss? Um, yeah, I think that is really important. Um, and it's bad. So we have more breaking news, but we're still doing some things behind the scenes before we can um, reveal all of that. But it is amazing, and I know I'm so slow tonight because it's just been such a difficult day. Uh, and I hope you understand. So, okay, everyone, I put out that meme about Joe Spencer because we have candidate interference. I never even knew that existed. But, that makes so much sense right now, that there's candidate interference, because we do not need we need people that feel that they have a desire to serve this country, that want to work hard and become a candidate for district attorney or for any position, to be able to do it, to give it a go, and for there to be, because I don't think this is a one off, that Joe Spencer intimidated and bullied a candidate, a wannabe candidate, right? I think, that really makes sense, and we are in short supply of good candidates. So it really makes sense that there must be a lot of that going on. And I don't think we would have the criminality and all of that, right? The other thing too is, I just posted, and I want to thank Team Find Richard Halliday for this, um, making us aware that Nadal Baim, and we knew he was not just some guy, right? But that he was, and we knew that he worked at Western Frontier Trading. That's how we found him. That's how we found him, because of that, which is a wowzer, right? That was that story on how we found out who Nadal Baim is, um, that was from God. Absolutely a gift from God. And God's hand has been all over this. Anyway, I mean, I've always been a believer. I never know a time that I didn't believe in God. I mean, I used to play with my Barbies about that. It was just but if let's say if I wasn't a believer and I went through this case, this investigation, let me tell you, God's hand is all over this. You are on your belly. You are on your belly saying, God is, and thank you, God. Because how we found out who Nadal Baim is, it wasn't because of the CID. It wasn't because of the FBI. Even with, you know, them knowing because they have conflicts of interest with him. Okay? They know Nadal Baim. Jesus Nieto knows Nadal Baim. Okay? It's just, wow. Um, but they just are like, oh, he's just some guy. They just lie to your face. Lie to the faces of desperate parents wanting to know who this guy is that said the FBI found parts of our son there in Juarez, Mexico, right? And they just lie to us. Can you believe it? It's just, anyway. Um, so they know. And so that's part of the motive. The motive is, because Nadal has a record. And here he is working for a Western Frontier. And he was very forthright with us. When we called, he told us it all. He told us it all, and all of it. Told us all of it. Um, and now to find out the motive, because we know more. We know more about Western Frontier Trading, LLC. We know more about Blue Party Hall, LLC. Right there, their share an address. Um, and more. And more. Uh, we have it all and more. Um, but what we can disclose is what is publicly disclosed. Well, this part, that Nadal Baim was bidding for Western Frontier for, it was like 1.2 million to 3 million, depending on the time or whatever, a bid for providing ammunition to El Paso Police Department. We're talking, that's big money, y'all. For small businesses, that's big money. And if that's just one bid, they knew because that's just the El Paso Police Department. What about the fire department? What about Fort Bliss? What about other, there's more. Um, he was not just some guy. So it's going to be interesting how they explain that. And it really explains why they were so nervous about it. I'm talking, they were shaky. They were shaken. And this whole thing, absolutely. The more we expose, the more we understand the reactions that were so odd to us. The the facial expressions, their shakiness, their nervousness, their um, yeah, because Sean Bernabe, Lieutenant General Sean Bernabe, he called us on a weekend. It's just, it's like, okay, what is he doing? You know, what's going on? Um, so there are a lot of irregularities that are now being explained. And so I think that that is huge news. I want to absolutely, we are so grateful. And just hold on until we make this right. Um, and just stick with us as a team, and let's make this right for our country. Um, a lot going on behind the scenes. Of course, number one, to get Richard's remains and yes, and honor him like he really deserves. Met a lady today because of everything that happened today. Um, her husband's police officer, and she was like, "What in the world is going? Why isn't this in the media?" And you must be so proud of your son, so proud, because she knows as a police officer's wife what's going on and what's going on at Borderland in Borderland. And for Richard to be a whistleblower, she understood as soon as we said whistleblower, she goes, "No way." She knew exactly. And we didn't even have to explain it. So, but she just could not believe it. Well, she did. But just appalled that the media, the likes of Bob Moore, doesn't reach out to us, doesn't have an interview with us, doesn't get our what we can give him, we would give him, um, because some of it is, security sensitive. Um, why why that's not done? So yeah. Okay, let me read the rest of these. My prayers for Richard. Thank you so much, Maria Elena Munoz. I know that name, Elena. Maria Elena. Hmm. Okay, and those moving storage units. Yeah, the tactical move storage units. Absolutely criminal trafficking. He had to try and clear his guilty conscience. Yes, that is great news. Yes. Yes, now that completely makes sense what Richard was reporting, which would mean that individual trade could be uncovered. Yes. Richard's biological siblings should receive gold stars as well, in my opinion. That is a great idea, Danielle. That is a great idea, and I will ask them. I think you're right, because they've been following, and I don't mention it too much because we've been bullied and harassed so much, all of us. And I just want them to be left alone. So yeah, I will definitely. That's a great idea. I'm really floored. I'm like, wow. That's Thank you so much for that. Um, because there's like in that gold pin, there's a little bit of healing power. There's a little bit of healing power in there. And it's really hard to explain. So that is a great. I'm really emotional now. 4 years, okay, and torture. Yeah. All right, everyone. Thank you so much. I think I've got all the yeah all of this here. Okay. Thank you so much. God bless you. Yeah. I will be back tomorrow, God willing. Bye bye, everyone.